Hi, I'm Grace, and I've got Jamie and Karen here with me, and we're going to be demonstrating the differences between all or several of the warriors that you're going to hear about in class. So we have different poses: Warrior One, Warrior Two, and Crescent Warrior, or Crescent Lunge, it's sometimes called. And we wanted to take a couple minutes to show you what the difference is between each of them. So the first one we're going to do is just Warrior One. So Warrior One, right leg forward. And I have both of them demonstrate for you here. So Warrior One is what we consider a closed hip pose, or basically your hips are facing the same direction as your front leg. Okay, and so the body is facing forward. In Warrior One, the back foot is flat on the mat, and the distance between the feet can be as far apart as you can manage, which farther apart makes it a little more difficult, harder to balance. And if you have trouble balancing, then your feet will be closer together. Um, the next pose is Warrior Two. So in Warrior Two, you probably want to turn around, Karen, so that your body's still facing them. In Warrior Two, the body is facing the side. So we call this an open hip pose, meaning the hips are facing away from the front leg. So the front leg's facing forward, the hips are facing to the side of the mat. So you can see the difference there. Feet are still flat on the mat. Usually in Warrior Two, the back foot is turned out a little bit more to make balancing a little easier. Same thing, feet closer together, make it easier to balance. Feet further apart, make it harder to balance. Okay, and then the third warrior we're going to talk about is Crescent Warrior. So in Crescent Warrior, that is a closed hip pose. Once again, the hips are facing the same direction as the front leg. And it looks a lot like Warrior One, except Crescent Lunge, you have your back heel up off the mat. It's almost like you're about to run away. So the back heel is off the mat and a crescent lunge. Otherwise, it's very similar to a Warrior One. One of the modifications you can do in a crescent lunge is to actually put your back knee down to the mat. So they're going to demonstrate it here. Same concept, right? The hips are facing forward. Just makes it a little easier to balance because your knee is down on the mat. One of the things that we notice new people often have trouble with, or if you're just unfamiliar with how to get from pose to pose, is stepping forward into a warrior. So I'm going to show you how it's done and then a way to modify that. So I'm going to have both of them come into a down dog. So often in a flow class, in a yoga class, you'll go from down dog into a standing pose. So in this case, I'm going to have them go from down dog into Warrior One. So you might hear, raise your right leg up in the air. Let's do your left leg since you've been on your right leg. So raise your left leg up in the air and then step it forward to Warrior One. So they'll step forward and then come on up, Warrior One. Right? They make it look easy. So after practice, it is actually, or it does become easier. But if you're new to this, sort of not sure what to do, we're going to slow it down and give you a different way to do it. So coming back to down dog for both of y'all. We're going to step with the left leg forward, but this time I'm going to have you approach it a little differently. So put your right knee down on the mat and now step your left foot forward. Yep, and then put your hands on your left thigh and then you're going to come on up into Warrior One. So you'll come off of the back knee and then pivot the foot flat and then bring your arms up over your head. That makes it a little easier to get into the pose. All right, and then they'll bring their hands down, lower the back knee again, and then step the back foot back. Good, and then back to down dog. So we'll demonstrate that on the other side. So you'll bring your left knee to the mat and then step the right foot forward. Yeah, and then come off at the back knee, and then hands can come onto the thigh to come up, or you can just raise your arms up. Yep, Warrior One. And then coming back down, put your back knee back to the mat, and then step the back leg back. Good. And then back to downward facing dog. Perfect.